two men stood up and started screaming insults at Muslims attending a pretty routine meeting about plans to build a mosque. Samir Shalabi, who's a civil engineer and a member of the Islamic Center of Fredericksburg, was discussing plans for the new worship center at a Spotsylvania County meeting on the property the Muslim community already owns. Video of the meeting shows a burly man yelling and pointing his finger at Shalabi, saying, quote, "Every one of you are terrorists. I don't care what you say. Every Muslim is a terrorist," going on to tell Shalabi to, quote, "shut your mouth. I don't want to hear your mouth. I will do everything that I can to keep you from doing what you're doing. It will happen. That will happen." There was another character at this meeting, an American flag and hat wearing man, who's seen pointing at Shalabi while holding a poster board with a building outline, yelling, "This is evil." I would show you the video, but it's from a local news station, and even though I think we are completely within our fair use rights to play it, we know that local news stations often have nothing better to do than to file copyright complaints against small shows like ours, so you'll have to find the video online for yourselves. WUSA 9 is reporting that some of the people at the meeting were agitated because they thought the mosque was going to take in Syrian refugees, which is now one of the primary groups around which we are seeing fear-mongering. The truth on this entire all Muslims are terrorists thing is a reality that neither side likes. One side is all Muslims are terrorists, ban Muslims, ban mosques. Obviously, that's illegal. Obviously, that's not true. Obviously, that doesn't make sense. The other side, though, is we cannot criticize Islam. Anything that you see as radical Islam is just the result of the West oppressing Muslims and economic inequality, which is also not true. The truth is that today, in 2015, based on numerous polls of the world Muslim population, including a recent one from the Pew Research Center, a disturbingly high portion of Muslims are sympathetic to radical Sharia-based ideals like violence against apostates, the harsh application of Sharia law, even though most of them would never commit such violent acts personally. Pew Research Center study, 1.62 billion Muslims on this planet as of a couple years ago. 1.39 billion say that the wife should obey the husband. Okay, that's not too radical. I mean, that I don't subscribe to that per se, but that's a pretty common belief among those who are in many religions. 1.1 billion say that Sharia law should be the law of the land. Okay, that's starting to get a little bit more radical, but it could be a sort of non-radical application of Sharia law. Well, 748 million Muslims want death for adultery as the punishment. That's a very high number. That is a radical belief. You cheat on your spouse, you get killed. And then 584 million Muslims, according to the same Pew Research Center study, believe that the punishment for leaving the religion of Islam should be death. That is a radical belief. And that's the reality. The left doesn't like the reality, and the right doesn't like the reality.
If you look at developed countries across the world, Dave, I don't think it's crazy to say that many of the Islamic countries are very backwards. I mean, it's like, it might as well be 300-400 years ago, maybe even longer.
They're exactly where American right-wing religious Christians want the U.S. to be. And that comparison is lost on many people.
Yeah. And, I think I think the world would be better off without religion. That includes Islam.
Right.
I think it's just a harmful thing. And, whether you are a nonviolent and level-headed practicer or not, I think it's just harmful to put a book in front of someone and say that these are God's words.
With regard to this particular mosque being built, can you imagine if someone told a Christian they'd had no right to practice their religion and they couldn't build a church on the property that they already owned? I mean, either we have freedom of religion or we don't. And if we don't have it, that means we don't have it for anyone. That means no federal holidays for religions like Christmas, for religious holidays like Christmas. We either have religious freedom and this Muslim community group can build a mosque on the property they already own, or we do not have religious freedom in this country and all places of worship are underground. You can't have it both ways, period.